Well, you can see this is where we used to live. It was called Smitherton House. That's where it's been demolished. And the block on the left-hand side, that's what our block used to look like. That was the block round the corner called Leighton House. It's hard enough losing your home and having to move into a new home. And so the reason I wanted to become chair of the Tenants and Residents Association was I wanted to try to do my best to make sure that the place we were moving into was going to be nice for us and for all the other tenants as well. Well, we're standing in the new Kingshold Community Hall, which is the community hall for the new Kingshold Estate. And the new Kingshold Estate the old new Kingshold Estate was knocked down in the 1990s, completely demolished. And this new estate was built on the same site, gradually. And once all the houses had been built, the council didn't want to build the replacement community hall. They just put off building it, let's put it like that. So we were very, very persistent, and there was lots of letters, lots of discussions, and in the end they built it, and this is it. I think the ones at the top are of when the first stone was being laid for the community hall, and then the one down here, you can see it's when the community hall was opened. If it weren't for our Tenants and Residents Association, this hall would not be standing there. I think we can say that for sure. Let me show you first of all, this is the activity we are directly concerned with. This is the twice a week children's sports activities. And I can show you, we've got an outdoor pitch as well. It's a sort of five-a-side basketball and football pitch here. And in the summer, you can just open out the doors, the kids can go out there and play. Really, it wouldn't run without our Tenants and Residents Association either. We've got a committee of 13 or 14 people. So it's nice to have that core of people who regularly come to both the committee meetings and the actual full meetings and have got to know each other. And, it adds a kind of community feel to it. And the fact that people on our committee are from all four of our landlords means our committee is very representative as well. That's at the end, that's Anne, she's a Southern Housing tenant. And that's Josephine, she's a council tenant, and then it's me and Monica. And I'm a Sheehan tenant, so already you've got people from 3 different landlords just in that one picture. At the start, some of these housing associations didn't want to recognise a joint Tenants and Residents Association. They wanted to have their separate Tenants and Residents Association. Southern Housing Group was the one that wanted that most strongly at the time. But we just kept on doing what we did, and in the end they have all recognised them. And the only landlord that doesn't recognise us officially as a Tenants and Residents Association is the council. They recognise us as a representative organisation, but as a community association. So when we write on behalf of tenants and take things up with them, they do respond and they do things, and we've been successful in a lot of ways. But they still officially don't recognise us as a Tenants and Residents Association.
Why is that?
And they say that's because of the housing revenue account. That the housing revenue account restricts their ability to support anything that isn't exclusively for council tenants. For years this was an empty piece of ground. It was going to be a sports hall, and then the funding fell through. And we wanted it to be, first of all, just a nice bit of space, because there's not much space on this estate. You can see that, can't you? It's quite close back. But the council didn't want to do that, and we got wind pretty early on that what they wanted to do with it was build housing on it. And then somebody came along from Southern Housing, and they tried to persuade us that that some nice teachers would come and live on that space. And from this we realised that it was going to be more expensive than council housing. That was the idea. We later found out that they wanted all 32 of them to be shared ownership, which, as we now know, at this point in time, is for people with a household income up to £90,000 a year. So nothing like council housing. When they came and said to us, you can get some nice teachers into these homes, the implication is we would be going up in the world as a community because we would have teachers in here. And I remember saying at the time, there's nobody better than us, we're the salt of the earth. And I was really speaking for the whole of the estate. But of course I am a teacher, or at least a retired teacher. But I got a council home. I got a council home in 1977, because in those days you could get a council home sometimes if you were a teacher. And nowadays, how could a teacher get a council home? That's what's resulting in teachers in local schools having to live miles and miles away and travel, a long time every day just to get to work because they can't afford to live in this area. Anyway, after we'd been resisting this for quite some time, 2 council officers came to our Tenants and Residents Association meeting and they said they were going to build council homes and market homes on the estate. So we didn't believe it at first. We said, you mean affordable homes? They said, no, council rented homes. And when they said that they were going to do that, it was going to be half and half. That's 15 council homes, and the people are now in their homes. Well, the thing I'm most proud of is that we're still all one Tenants and Residents Association, because we might not have been, and it would have been far, far more difficult for us to get improvements and things like the doors and so on if we'd all been working separately. I felt like defending all the people on here who I do think are the salt of the earth. Why should people be looked down on because they are council tenants or housing association tenants, or do a manual job, or are a bus driver, or are whatever else they are? Why is a teacher who has a shared ownership property supposed to be better than that?
Yeah.